as I said, I want to do a broad stroke um, of each of the two broad categories just to give you some idea. And then I'm going to get down to the nitty gritty because I've grown up in DC, literally and figuratively, with government contracting over 36 years. I've done probably maybe 8 teaming agreements over the last couple of weeks. So, I do them in my sleep, but there are issues that I think people underestimate with teaming agreement. But it's relevant because irrespective of what level you are in government contracting or in business in general, the more you do business, the more you learn that you have to be a part of an ecosystem and you have to team with other businesses to grow, to provide complete solutions to your customers, particularly in the government. There's more of a push for teaming agreements now than ever before because of the desire for the customers, the government customers, to do one-stop shopping. If you're if you have a complete solution for them, that makes you more interesting to them because there's so many other pressures that they have to meet. So, teaming agreements. Now, teaming agreements are typically documents that are entered into in order to bid on a particular contract. It is a preliminary document. And so I was just telling a new client, that they were under the impression that if they did the teaming agreement, there was no need to do a subsequent subsequent agreement. I told them that is absolutely incorrect. The teaming agreement is designed to address the bid process or the preliminary process. Once you've secured the contract, whatever you're trying to secure, then there's typically a need to do a second document. Now, this is an interesting um, nuance here because what most people don't understand, most contractors, particularly smaller contractors who enter into these teaming agreements, is that unless you're very specific about the the final award you're trying to secure, there is no obligation in many jurisdictions for you to then be given a contract. And this trips up many smaller government contracting companies because they assume that if the company that's going to be the prime secures the contract, that there's an obligation, a resulting obligation to reach an agreement. Depending upon the language of the document of the teaming agreement, it can be construed and has been construed by courts to be an agreement to agree, which means that there's supposed to be a good faith effort, but it does not mean that they are obligated to conclude an agreement with you. And in many instances, what happens is the subcontractor, if you're in the sub position as opposed to the prime, you then get left out. And certainly that's not your intent, particularly when you're spending money in trying to put the bid together, but it happens. So, what do? You want to make the teaming agreement as specific as you can, meaning that as much as you can determine the terms, the pricing, the length of the agreement, your responsibilities, you want to really put some teeth into the document in order to make it more than likely binding if you're successful at getting the award. Other issues that are addressed in a teaming agreement is intellectual property, of course, any representations that either of you are making, publicity and non-disparagement. For example, you don't want anyone in the eventuality I just mentioned that the sub does not become a part of the agreement, the award, you don't want that entity to be making disparaging comments about you. And vice versa, if you are the sub and the prime wins and you don't reach an agreement, you don't want the prime saying negative things about you, um, for whatever reason, obviously. So it typically includes that language. Now, the biggest, and for me, the most important aspect of the teaming agreement, and quite honestly, any agreement that I do, is the dispute resolution language. And I'm actually going to get to that before we do the question and answer. But these are just some of the terms that you typically see in a teaming agreement.